Hey everyone, now that I've made a couple videos concerning Disgaea 6, I figured I'd make one final video where I talk about some differences between 6 and previous games in the series, and then we can wrap this up with a few thoughts. So the first thing that I want to mention is that the leveling at the beginning of the game is very off-putting because you have incredibly high stats. Now, since I'm not at the beginning of the game, I can't show you exactly what that is, but I can show you a level 1 character. You can see that they have no equipment on them, and yet they have like HP of 84,000, attack of 34,000, and you see very similar things at the beginning of this game where you just see these crazy high stats, and it puts the beginning of the game really in easy mode. I don't think I lost a single battle in the first world, and I don't think I had to buy any equipment until like partway through the second world. Again, I don't remember exactly when it happened, but it's very off-putting because you look at equipment, it's like, why am I even bother buying something? It's not going to move the needle. If I have 100,000 attack and this weapon only adds 1,000 attack, when I'm going from 100,000 to 101, it's an increase of 1%. So at the beginning of the game, it's really kind of off balanced where your characters are overpowered and equipment, at least new equipment, seems pointless at first because it raises your stats by such a small percentage. It does eventually even out. Like I said, I think it was like halfway through the second world. So it does eventually even out, but the first too much of the game at first feels too overpowered and you're just kind of going through the motions. But anyways, you might find a different experience, but that's what I noticed was at the beginning of the game was very off balance. And the crazy leveling never stops. Like if I took that character and brought it into a map right now, I'd probably get 300 levels from a single battle. So some oddities there, but again, eventually it does even out, but it's very off-putting at first. So the second thing I want to mention is that they finally made the change from 2D character and animations to 3D models. Now, I think that this is the source of the problems that I have with this game, and I'll get to those in just a minute. But in previous versions of this game, depending on which ones you're talking about, they could simply use the animations from the previous game and create whole new animations and whole new characters in addition to what they already had, and you could have this ever-growing roster. Maybe if there was memory constraints, you might cut one or two, but ultimately you could have a net increase. In this case, the amount of classes are less. So even looking at part 4, not even part 5, looking at part 4, there are less classes in this game than that game. So I think that because they had to take the time and the money to completely recreate these characters, it caused budget constraints and they could not add as many features. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So if we come here to the Dark Assembly and we do create a new character, there are 22 possible characters. There's only one that I haven't unlocked yet. So there's 21 here and there's a total of 22. I recently checked Disgaea 4. That one had at least 27, possibly even more. So you definitely do have a net decrease. Now, some of those characters are similar classes that were eliminated. Like, for instance, there used to be Warrior and Lady Fighter. They weren't identical, but they were very similar. So I think the idea is they were getting rid of the similar classes. So they kept Warrior, but got rid of Lady Fighter. And then they did the opposite for the casters. So there's witches. There used to be like a male mage. They got rid of those. So they got rid of some of the semi-redundant classes, but they also got rid of some classes that were unique. Like they got rid of Nekomata. That was the cat lady class, and that was always my go-to class. Life always got better when Nekomata got unlocked because she was great. She had a great melee attack. She had this great four-way attack just in case she ever got surrounded from all sides. She also had this close but ranged attack that hit like 3 or 4 enemies. She was a beast, and she's not in the game. There was another one, I think it was the kobolds. They got rid of them. There was another one. It was like this slime with a skull head. I believe they got rid of that one. I believe there was also like a golem. There was a plant lady. So they definitely eliminated a lot of the classes. Did they create any new ones? Yes, like I think Mecha Girl is new, at least compared to part 4. I don't remember part 5. I think Sea Angel was new. I think the crab is new. And I'm not sure about the Psychic. I'm not sure if they're new. They actually turned out to be one of my go-tos in this one because whenever you hit an enemy with, I believe, any attack, they had a latent debuff. It like debuffed all the enemy stats. So anyways, there's a net reduction in classes. Like I said, Disgaea 4 at least had 27, possibly more. This one only has 22. And there are some that, like I said, there's definitely some that there's no equivalence of. Okay, so they reduced the amount of classes, but then they did other things as well. So if we come here to the general store, they also got rid of the monsters equipment because monsters used to have their own category of weapon. It used to, I think, the icon at the top was like a skull or something like that, and it'd be things like claws, jaws, talons, and things like that. It never showed up on the screen, but that's what the enemy use. Excuse me, that's what the monsters would use to do more damage. Those are gone. You can just use regular equipment now. So, for instance, if I come here and we go to like son-in-law, you use a wand, even though he's a dragon. And let's take a look at another one. Let's take a look at this one. They are visually they look like a prinny, and they've got an not an axe, they've got a sword, so on and so forth. So it looks like they simplified that. You decide for yourself if you think that's good or bad, but that's some of the complexity that was removed. Likewise, they got rid of Magi Change. At least I never came across it. So Magi Change, if you had a human and a monster standing next to each other, the monster could Magi Change into a weapon, and now your character had a new weapon. The problem is basically every monster could magically change. So if they wanted to add that to this game, they would have had to come up with another, 22 weapons because there's 22 monsters. So to the best of my knowledge, magic change is not in the game. I played through the whole main campaign, and it's not there. They also got rid of pirates. Again, unless I just got lucky and never encountered them. But in the item world, from time to time, pirates would show up in the other games. Now, the pirates would just show up as regular monsters, but they would be like boosted or whatever. You'd see this ship float up, and then the enemies would get off, and that was removed. So they got rid of pirates. There's really not a whole lot of mid bosses or bosses in this game either. There's a couple palette swap characters, but it's not like there's anything really special about them. So you really don't have any meaningful kind of mini bosses in this game. They're just palette swap versions of characters that already exist. There is one character that's considered a boss, but you fight him like 25, maybe even 30 times. Like there's one map where there's 5 of him. So when you fight an enemy that many times, I'm sorry, that's not a boss. There's some enemies that you probably fight less than that. So the fact that it's supposedly a boss, but you fight it like 25 or 30 times, that's really not a boss. That's what makes a character a boss is its uniqueness, that you only fight it once or maybe twice. So let's see if I forgot anything. So they got rid of magic change, they got rid of some characters, they got rid of the pirates. I don't think I think that's it. I don't think there's anything else. They made some tweaks to like how the Netherworld Hospital works. You used to heal, now you don't have to heal. You automatically heal between battles, so that's more quality of life. So that's not a problem. That's not a complaint. That's just quality of life, saving you going through the motions. So yeah, I think that's it. I don't think that I had anything else to say as far as what's missing. So I think that's about it as far as did I like this game? Well, I did play it through the end. I did play through the main campaign. So I must have liked it enough to do that. For me, I think Disgaea has become kind of like fast food. You don't so much like it or hate it. You're just used to eating it. So to me, Disgaea has become like fast food, and yet you kind of just used to consuming it as rather than there being anything really great about it. But also, like I said, it's not meant to be. It's always meant. It's always been about the leveling and the unique combination of characters. Yes, there's a story. It's always been kind of irreverent, It's never been really gripping. They might have little dramatic moments here and there, but it's never meant to be like Final Fantasy. It's always meant to be very irreverent. Like in the very first Disgaea, one of the story arcs was that someone stole a picnic basket. It's like, what are you, Yogi Bear? So, anyways, that's about all I wanted to say. So maybe this will help you make a decision one way or the other. But that's a summary of the things that I noticed that were missing from this game versus other versions, as well as the my overall thoughts. So, okay, so please enjoy the rest of your day.